How you doing? Welcome to my channel. Hey, I gotta take a moment. The story is it just hitting hard with me, as it should, I guess. But I'd like to talk about law enforcement.
Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger, to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also. For they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues. Tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. Owe no man anything but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law.
Christmas, the deplorable is on deck. It's now okay to think.
Let's bring in the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Fox News contributor, Dr. Alveda King. Thank you so much for coming in early this morning with us.
Thank you, Heather. Good morning.
You know, we were just talking about some of the things that have gone on and transpired in just the past couple hours since yesterday, when all of this happened with the shooting and the death of a 43-year-old man. When that first transpired, the initial riot that happened, there was one individual, at least one, that came out and said, you know, all white people are devils. And you wanted to respond to that.
Across the country, we've seen this outbreak and a fight over skin color. If my dad was here, Reverend A.D. King, my uncle Martin Luther King Jr., they'd say Acts 17:26, one blood. So it's not about the skin color. It's the conditions that are so oppressive. So all white people are not devils. All black people are not angels. It goes so far beyond skin color. I can understand the frustration. And so you will respond to immediately what you see. I really want the viewers to know that I have really good friends in law enforcement myself, various ethnic groups. Right in Atlanta, Georgia, my mother's car was vandalized, and the police department responded quickly and came in to help get the community back in order. So the police departments are not the enemies. You have some bad police officers and some good ones. But do not lump all law enforcement into one little bundle. We've got to allow them to do their jobs.
Yeah, and
there are hundreds of incidents that go on every day, and people act like if a police officer pulls the trigger, it's just an easy thing for him to do. No, it's not that simple. Listen to this guy. This is a good friend of mine, and he's telling it from his point of view with some stuff he went through. And you listen to what the criminal did. To me, the guy had it coming. But taking a life is taking a life. And those of us, which are the majority, because we wouldn't be here. So the majority of us who have a conscience, this stuff stays with you.
Late today, Commissioner Bratton released new information on two suspects accused of shooting two NYPD officers in the Bronx.
My mom and dad came here in the 50s, and he went to work. He came here because he wanted his kids to be born here. Even though Puerto Rico, you're born an American citizen, he still wanted to be in the mainland. So at 21, I became a policeman, you know, and did a real, you know, had a family of my own, and help the community, help my family, and that was the proudest moment of my mom's life, seeing me become a policeman,
Nice.
And so I'm getting to that to tell you that, when I was a policeman, being Hispanic, I was kind of in the middle. So when white guys complain about a black guy, I heard about it, and vice versa when a black guy's complain about a white guy, because we were kind of in the middle,
Yeah.
It was a funny thing. But I never saw or heard a black or white policeman say, you know what, I'm going to go out and kill this guy just because he's black or just because he's white, or, They might have had their own differences and their own thoughts sometimes, because we all do as human beings, Yeah. But a policeman always wanted to help. All the policemen I knew that I worked with for 22 years almost, all were out there to help,
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we all have our own biases, and we all say things sometimes in anger too, but for the most part, I never seen a policeman just say, I want to go out and kill somebody just because of his color,
Yeah.
So, and I can honestly say that, I worked with every nationality out there, but almost, and so, being growing up, probably back sometime in 96, I had about 6 years on the job, and I started when I was 21 years old, so basically my whole young life, I guess, adult life, I was a policeman, so telling 45, 48-year-old men, 50-year-old men how to live when I'm only 21, so it was kind of shock to me, teaching people how to live their lives. I hadn't even lived my life yet, but
Yeah.
anyhow, sometime in the summer, I was working I'll call it a one-man car. I know it's not politically correct anymore. They want to call it a one-person, but, old habits. So I was working a one-man car because my partner, I ended up calling the dispatcher and asking what was going on, and that's when she advised me that they had gotten information that a suspect of a murder was held up at a house. This individual had stolen about $300 to $400 worth of meat at a supermarket, and the security guard, who was about to retire in 2 weeks, grabbed him by his shirt, and this individual pulled out a handgun and shot him twice in the stomach from just pulling it. He didn't even turn around. He just stuck it around his stomach and shot at him. But anyway, the produce kid, which is 19 years old, so a black kid, he married and a couple kids, working at the store to get through college, picked up the security guard. Didn't even stop the guy, and the idiot just turned around and shot him for no reason, reviewing the videotape, and sent him to the hospital. The security guard was DOA on scene, dead on arrival there. So about a week and a half later, this is when this call comes over. And so my partner was, I don't know what to call him, but kind of a little lackadaisy kind of guy, so I said I better go with him. So I called another one-man car over these things. So we end up showing up, and we face-to-face with this guy 10 feet away. And I jump out of the car, and I guess, there's not much you can do. This guy's a suspect in a homicide. The produce kid had not died at this point. He's still in the hospital on ICU. But so he had definitely killed one person already and showed that he would kill more. So I jumped out of the car, and so did my partner at the time, the other one-man car. And we did the cardinal mistake. We didn't call out our location. So at the time, there was no GPSs on the car. There's nothing, we're talking back in the early 90s, So I jump out, start chasing the guy, and I grab him exactly the way the security guard grabbed him. And to go back a little bit, we purchased our own vests at the time, our own ballistic vests. And back then, they were like wearing a turtle shell. So nobody wore their vest. Nobody. And to file suit, I didn't wear my vest. I didn't have a vest on. You know, it was collecting dust in my locker, and that was just something. So I grabbed this guy by his shirt, and we're like about 10 feet from the train tracks. So in other words, the road ran parallel to the train tracks, but the road was 10 feet higher than the train tracks. So he jumps off, taking me with him 10 feet down to the train tracks. And we roll around, and I can't hold on to him because I got my gun in one hand, and I'm holding it with my weak hand, so I can't hang on to him, which ended up being a blessing because he would have probably shot me just the way he shot the security guard. So he gets up and starts to run. At this time, my partner is yelling for him to stop, but he's up 10 feet, and there's bushes and everything else, and it looked like a little jungle area from the street to the train tracks. You really couldn't see very well. You know, you'd have to look through bushes like in trees. So he gets about 10 feet from me, and he turns around and fires at me. So I return fire, and he's returning fire, and he's pointing at my head, so I gotta assume only that these bullets were inches from my head. You know, it wasn't like in the movies where you can hear these things whiz past you, and you know, this is kind of it is the actual dispatch tape of the event, and you'll hear some yelling and screaming, and some of those mistakes I was telling you about, and how good the dispatcher did, and some of the things I did from muscle memory, especially holding the radio down in the middle of all this. So we're gonna go ahead and go with it here.
Okay.
So. Okay, you got that?
Yeah.
How's the hairs on the back of your head like that? You can hear the other cops saying they're going, and they're interrupting me, trying to give instructions and where we're at and stuff like that. So, you know, you need to really be quiet and give the radio to the people who are involved in this stuff, you know. Just go to the location. But you see the dispatcher did a great job. She stayed calm and got everything. And then you hear the dreadful word of officer down. You never want to hear that, you know. So that's the gist of it. But, you know, again, you hear my partner first. I'm the second guy. She thinks he says there's a man down. I come in and say male shooting at us. She understands that. And at this time, I'm already shot and just trying to like run, hobbling away, trying to hide behind little grave, the little railroad grave there, you know. So, you know, we end up calling EMS. EMS comes, fire department, the whole. We had 6 districts, probably 4 districts showed up, even though they were out of their district. They still showed up for backup because, you know, brothers in blue stick together, you know.
Yeah.
So we end up taking this guy to Metro Hospital, and I end up going to the same hospital instead of them taking me to a different one. He's in the other room while they're working on him. So as they're working on him, I'm hearing this. Now, I don't care who you are. If you got a heart, you don't want to kill somebody.
Yeah.
You know. And so I something I had to deal with for a long time. And my chaplain, I will say, saved my life because he gave me a scripture, and it kept me alive. And it basically says that the police on this earth are doing God's will, and that their sword is not in vain. And I believe it's Romans-13 that he gave me. Very good read if you ever have time to read it.
Yeah, I am.
So, this guy ended up, they couldn't stitch him up. He had, I don't know, I hit him 12 times. The only one that really fatally, I guess, took him out was the one in the artery that they couldn't stitch up in time. He lost a lot of blood. And ironically enough, the produce kid died the same day that he did. So, ended up dying of blood poisoning from the bullet. Wow. Yeah, 19-year-old kid. So, it was a long road to recovery physically and mentally for me. But I teach this, and I have the tape, and I show the tape. I turn off the lights, because I want guys not to be lackadaisy. I want them to understand training is important. Learn your training, and it could help you survive or help you save your partner's life, you know.
Yeah.
And I share this every time, even though I hear the tape, it gives me chills. It gets me kind of, not depressed, but it gets me in that mood, you know. I do it because I want to save another policeman's life, you know. So hopefully what we're doing here, somebody will hear it, and it'll save somebody's life too.
Yeah.
So, with that was basically the whole story.
Okay.
So I will start up the tape for you, and if I can call you in a little while.
Okay.
If you have any questions, just of it there, you know, and that seemed like it was an eternity, but it was only 5 minutes of that, you know.
Yeah. But 5 minutes into eternity there. Good.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So that's the thing of it there, pal. So,
it's a hard thing, I guess. You know, sometimes even I guess even for an average bystander or someone who's done a few wrong things in life, it is really hard to imagine the dread that goes through a police officer's mind when they just simply have to pull you over.
Sure.
You know, because that could turn into something. I was just watching something on the news today. It was just a routine stop and bullets started flying.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what, you know, policemen don't want to kill somebody. They don't come. I never worked with any policeman say, you know what, I can't wait to go out and kill somebody tonight, you know?
Yeah.
You know, the worst thing that happened to me was, it could have been a video game, but what happened was I went up to him and I saw him take his last breath. I saw his eyes die, you know, and that always stuck in my head. And that was always the issue that I had, you know, that I saw him. I saw what I did. Although I was 100% justified, I still took the life of some mother's son, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I had a hard time. And you know, because being Christian and everything else, the chaplain from the police department, which I owe him my life because his counseling and his words, and I see that you looked up Romans-13, really told me, hey, it's okay. You did what you had to do for God on this earth. You were his tool to take care of this, and you're not going to have the sword in vain, you know, which now for us it's the gun, of course, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it was a tough going, you know. and you get 3 days off, and then you have to wait. You have to wait. You take after you get your 3 days off, you have to wait 45 more days until the grand jury finds you guilty of killing somebody or not. So even though you're 100% right, you still have your life is in the hands of a grand jury, and hopefully they see that you did the right thing, or they're not upset at you because of all this stuff that's happening right now.
Yeah.
So for 45 days, I'm sitting on pins and needles, wondering, am I going to get indicted?
Yeah.
And so after 45 days, you go and you see a psychiatrist, and they ask you a few questions, and then you're back on the road. So, but I can attribute my life being saved to the training that I had, and I can tell policemen to take it seriously. Remember the things that you were taught, and you can survive this thing. Don't be lackadaisy. Don't go up to the car on a traffic ticket and answer your phone like I've seen.
We must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred.